Saskatoon home sales just fell 11%. Inventory went up, and prices still hit their second highest level on record. So, is the market finally cooling? Or is this just the break buyers have been waiting for? By the end of this video, you will know where buyers have gained leverage and where sellers still hold the advantage. I'm Joshua Boettcher, award-winning realtor and owner of Boettcher Real Estate Group. If you need an experienced, top-producing real estate team to help you purchase your next home or sell your current home, you can find all of my contact information in the description below. Let's get started. Starting with Saskatoon. There were 539 residential sales in Saskatoon during July. That was an 11% drop compared with July 2025. At first glance, that looks like a sharp slowdown. But last year was not a typical year. Even after that decline, July sales were nearly 18% higher than the 10-year average. That gives us a much clearer picture. Demand has eased from an extremely busy level, but Saskatoon is still producing more sales than we normally would expect, at least for this time of year. The year-to-date numbers tell the same story. Through the end of July, Saskatoon recorded 2,989 sales. That was 5% behind last year, yet 13% ahead of the 10-year average. So this market has taken its foot off the gas somewhat, but it has not taken a U-turn. Now let's talk about supply, because this is where July became more interesting for buyers. Saskatoon added 793 new listings during the month, 1% more than last July. Total residential inventory reached 928 properties, an increase of 3%. More inventory is good news for buyers, but the total does not tell the whole story. Of those 928 properties, 244 were conditionally sold. That meant only 684 were fully active and available at the end of July. Based on those active listings, Saskatoon entered August with just 1.27 months of supply. That is why the market can feel different from one buyer to the next. There may be a few more listings to scroll through, but the best homes can still draw immediate attention. More choice does not automatically mean less competition. Prices also show that sellers have not lost control of the market. The residential benchmark price was $447,600 in July. That was 3.6% higher than 1 year ago and only $800 below the record of $448,400 set in June. Sales slowed, listings improved, prices barely moved away from their record. That combination tells us demand is still strong relative to the number of homes available. The details also changed by property type. Detached homes recorded 308 sales, down 15% from last year. Their benchmark price still climbed 4% to $520,900. The average time on market for a detached home was 23 days. Townhouses offered a different setup. Their inventory increased 45% year over year, while the benchmark price rose 2% to $368,600. Buyers looking at townhouses may find more options and in some cases, more room to negotiate. Apartments remained at the lower end of the price spectrum, with a benchmark of $262,800. That was 2% higher than last July. Apartment inventory fell 18%, so buyers should not assume that every lower-priced property will be easy to secure. The lesson is simple. Saskatoon is not one market. A detached home in a popular neighborhood can behave very differently from a townhouse with several similar listings or a condo in an older building. Your price range, location, and property type matter more than the citywide headline. Next, let's look at Martensville. Martensville recorded 22 residential sales in July. That matched last year and came in 22% above the 10-year average. The biggest change was on the listing side. There were 31 new listings, up 48%, and total inventory doubled to 32 homes. Doubling sounds dramatic, but Martensville started from a very, very, very small number. The city still only had 1.45 months of supply, 69% below its 10-year average. Prices continued to reflect that shortage. The total residential benchmark reached $448,800, up 4.2%. The detached benchmark rose 6% to $541,900. For buyers, July created more opportunities than last year, but Martensville remained competitive. For sellers, the market was still favorable, although the jump in listings made accurate pricing and presentation much more important. Finally, Warman gave buyers the most breathing room of the three markets. The city recorded 26 sales in July, down 19% from last year and close to its 10-year average. New listings increased 7% to 45, while inventory rose 18% to 71 homes. That brought Warman to 2.73 months of supply. It was still below the long-term average, but it was much less restrictive than the supply levels in Saskatoon and Martensville. Prices still moved higher. Warman's total residential benchmark reached 536,900, a 6.1% annual increase. The detached benchmark rose 6% to 575.5. The average days on market reached 58. That does not mean every listing will take 58 days to sell. But it does suggest that buyers are taking more time and separating the strongest listings from homes that are overpriced or may need work. Now let's turn these numbers into a plan. If you're buying, you have more options than you did earlier in the year. But Saskatoon and Martensville are still not buyers' markets. Have your financing ready and study recent comparable sales. A home that has been sitting may offer negotiating room. A strong new listing may still require quick action. If you're selling, prices remain close to record territory, but buyers now have more homes to compare. Your launch matters. Condition, marketing, and the first asking price will decide whether your home stands out or gets passed over. If you're investing, focus on the numbers behind the property. Compare rent with the mortgage payment, taxes, condo fees, insurance, repairs, and vacancy risk. A lower purchase price does not guarantee a strong investment, and appreciation should not be your only plan. If you're moving to the Saskatoon area, the best location may depend on how much choice and competition you are comfortable with. Saskatoon offers the broadest range of properties. Martensville remains the tightest of the three by a fair margin. Warman currently offers buyers more time and selection. So, to recap, the July market did not flip. It simply adjusted. Sales moved lower and inventory improved, but available supply stayed limited. That kept Saskatoon prices within $800 of their record and allowed prices in Martensville and Warman to keep rising. The right strategy now depends less on a broad headline and more on the specific home, neighborhood, and price range you are personally dealing with. If you would like help building a plan for your move, reach out. Use the contact information in the description below. If you found this update useful, subscribe for more Saskatoon area market reports and practical real estate advice. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.